what sameness does that imply between the people of today who look like ancient Egyptians and the actual ancient Egyptians? And what are we valuing in terms of ancient history? Because I think there's commentary to be made about valuing specifically ancient Greece and ancient Rome, but there's also commentary to be made about valuing empires. Why is it always an empire that subjugated other peoples, that built great, quote unquote, great monuments, that's exalted when we look at history? Like, why aren't we looking at other civilizations and other types of peoples and other societies and seeing all the values that they might have contributed to either their social order or agricultural order or whatever you want to call it? That maybe a lack of written text or a lack of intersections between those groups and the sort of the empires that then went on to take over the world. That's why we get this like over exaltation of empires, whether they be black, quote unquote, seen as black or white.
I mean, I told you this in our pre-show discussion. I have some sympathy for black people who want to look to the ancient Egypt or anywhere in the ancient world and, take pride in that. Because, white supremacist culture, you're always being told you have no civilization, you're worthless, like your ancestors never did anything worthwhile. And so it makes sense to me. People would revolt against that and say that's a lie. And, but there is a kind of, parallel similarity in this act of racialization, as you're describing, between sort of assuming that because ancient Egypt did great things, described as great, maybe we put it in quotes on your point about like, why do we praise the Egypts? Or, why do we praise the empires? That says anything about you as someone who shares a phenotype with them. That's a sort of similar racial logic. And it kind of, I have sympathy for it, and it kind of shows how insidious racism is, how insidious white supremacy is, because it makes everyone believe that these racial connections are real, that these racial fantasies are real.